What up, tribe? It's your girl Raji, and I would like to welcome you to my podcast, the House of Cush, where the evolved hustlers come to learn more about rootwork, conjure, tarot, astrology, culture, and a little bit of everything in between. So, before we get started, I just want to thank you guys for embracing this new podcast with open arms. I appreciate y'all so much for liking, sharing, subscribing, and it really means the world to me. If you are looking for old episodes from the Cush Concierge, you guys can definitely still view those on YouTube as well as Apple Podcasts. I'm not sure about Spotify, but I know for sure, if you want to tap back in before I'm able to cover some of those new topics in this new podcast, you guys can look up the Cush Concierge, and those almost 500 episodes of my old podcast are there, so you can shift through them and get the resources and the guidance that you need, okay? As well as some of my lore is there too. So if you're interested in finding out more about me, who I am, where I come from foundationally, why I'm on this journey, most of those stories are going to be in my podcast, The Cush Concierge. So take advantage of listening to those episodes while they're still live, okay, y'all, in public. Now, today is Saturday, ruled by Daddy Saturn, okay? And Saturdays is all about endings, patience, wisdom, banishing bindings. Today is a good day to seek wisdom from your ancestors and your elevated spirit team, and heal from grief as well as overcome any addictions. Today is also a good day if you're into the woo-woo, the root work, and the conjure. It is a good day to cast protective wards, do some cord cutting, uncrossing, maybe even some removal. So here's the thing. Saturday is a good day to kind of shed and review and then move forward for the week. So make sure y'all getting most of y'all cleansing and stuff done before the sun go down, because you don't want to sweep your luck away. You don't want to sweep your blessings away. And, how we do sunrise, sundown, okay? You got to follow a certain protocol. So yeah, so use this time wisely, rather. If you are in need of some personal services, click the link in my bio and you can book any uncrossings or cord cuttings with me as well. But yeah, so I've been ducked off because I've been filtering information. I have been just it's been so much going on, so I have been very diligent with my postings and doing my daily readings and whatnot. So before I got on the podcast, I really wanted to just it's been overload. So I've been trying to see, okay, where do we go with these, and where do we go from here? As you guys are aware, we are going through a very interesting time in society, and while certain things may be viewed as a distraction in terms of culture points, if you guys are familiar with what's going on with Cardi B, Nicki, JT, and those are cultural talking points, and I was really debating whether I wanted to address that shit or not, because I was just okay, how much of this is feeding into the distraction, and how much is this really going to help us out as a tribe, right? You know what I'm saying? But after kind of surveying and sitting back and taking it all in, I see where it's going to be very important for us to tap into the the underlying issues when it comes to those particular situations, right? As well as what's going on the political landscape, which we simply cannot ignore, with the recent raids and the recent changes in the laws and the shutdown of the government. That's why I say it's just so fucking much. And the idea 222 on the timestamp, trying to find balance, trying to find harmony, trying to figure out a way to like address but not get too caught up, do more than just talk, be proactive in this landscape, because we could talk all day, but it's almost like, what the fuck are we really going to do about it at the end of the day? And I'm very intentional about the part that I play in that. But y'all, anywho, so let's just get into it. So as you know, earlier this week, on the 1st, the government did shut down, and that is like certain federal programs and federal workers are not getting paid. In addition to that, Trump went and had a meeting with some of the top generals in the army and the world in different levels of the military, shall I say. And, him and I don't even care, the Heisberg guy, they were like telling them about new protocols for trainees and how they feel like things should be done, and having them like pledge their loyalty and, or speaking on wanting them to. Now, they were met with dead silence, which, because at the end of the day, the military is really for the people. And following this, and I've seen some of them even like go into retirement. Like I saw at least one for sure that posted and said, while he's still loyal to the process itself, he is retiring for his family, etc. Like, it's just like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, for fucking what? Like, where are you going with this, buddy? So, a few days later, there was a raid in a random, well, not so random, Chicago apartment building. Now, the thing that fucks with me is they were saying that they were there for like illegal immigrants, gang activity, but it was done in a predominantly black, brown neighborhood, right? And some of the people that are local to Chicago spoke exclusively about the fact that the neighborhood itself is not a predominantly Latin, Mexican, etc., area. They spoke about that. So the whole consensus is at about 1 something in the morning, these federal people with helicopters, they rained down on the apartment building, woke people up out of their sleep at 1 something in the morning, like I said, and had them come outside, bust in, kicked in their doors, had children zip tied and, had U-Hauls ready to transport people away, had them, held them for a certain amount of hours. And this is just a general overview of the situation. You guys can fact check and go and take a peek and get the full-blown details, because it's a lot. It's a bit much. But the overall consensus is they attack these people, and I'm gonna call it an attack, because when I went and looked at the pictures or whatever of the apartments, like, they destroyed these people's property, they ramsacked these people's apartments, they tortured these children. The children was not even able to get dressed appropriately. And again, you're in a predominantly African American neighborhood with just, a sprinkle, of our brothers and sisters from another mister. And it just seemed targeted. And a lot of people are just like feeling some type of way, because it's like, okay, well, what are you looking for? What are you trying to do? And they feel as though that he is attempting, or they are attempting to incite some sort of reaction so that they can declare martial law, so that they can get violent. And it's been a myriad of like violent shit going on. Even in Mississippi, the young man was hung from the tree. The medical examiners lied and said he was lynched. They lied and said that, obviously, like, like they said about the little boy in Florida, he rolled himself up in the mat. So they saying he hung himself from the tree, but in the coroner lied, and what his name, Colin Kaepernick, my bad, y'all. He paid for an independent autopsy. Come to find out, the boy was hit with blunt force trauma from the back of the head, and then he was hung from the tree. So it's just like, And so basically, Trump is in his administration, some of them are giving the green light for certain areas and states to be used as what he said, almost like a target practice, to build up this what's looking like a regime, and this, if you are black or brown, or you marginalized in any sort of way, even if you are a female battling the patriarchy, and you are into, witchcraft, you're into, you might be a Wiccan, you might be, practicing this sort of thing outside of traditional religion. I just feel like it all is going to become a melting pot sooner or later, because if y'all are not familiar, when Charlie Kirk got taken out, you know what I'm saying? It was a situation where they was like, okay, if you a witch, the witches was saying that they had put a spell and things had been done, and so on and so forth. So even the witch community has been to the tune of, okay, we don't want to do too much because we don't want to have to deal with what we had to deal with the persecution back in the day. It's like anything that threatens the status quo, they have an issue with. And it's coming off like we're just cycling back into a space where we are being openly attacked. Because just to be real, a lot of this shit ain't never really stopped, for real, to be honest. They been doing a little sideways ass shit, but a lot of these things just, they never really stop. It's just like more in our faces now, because even down to the witch community, maybe I think that was like last year, a young woman was talking about how this like group kept coming to her store and harassing her and shit, and she had to go online for her safety and talk about it. She had to ask for assistance, help me out here, these people are harassing me because this is my metaphysical store and they keep coming. So it's just like okay, so when y'all get rid of everybody that's different, what's next? And it's kind of almost a slap in the face, because not only is the United States a melting pot at this point, we all know that the government and higher officials utilize astrology and witchcraft and voodoo and hoodoo and like we all know, like there's a underlying tone there, right? They have some of the best psychics, some of the best, and it's like, okay, what does all these things have to do with one another? I just feel as though we need to be more proactive in whatever your role is in combating this issue or these issues, because you're never going to know when that shit's going to be at your front door. You're never going to know when you're turning the other way because you feel like, oh, well, that shit ain't got nothing to do with me right now. You know what I'm saying? But what happens when the day comes that it does? What will you do? How will you handle yourself? So, everybody's got their role, and I know that mine in particular has been to provide resources and services as well as a safe space to the rootwork and conjure community, as well as women who, are practicing the magical arts, and people of color, because I'm all of those things, you know what I'm saying? But, I just want to tap more into how we protect ourselves on a spiritual level, because this is a spiritual warfare. Do not get it twisted. I saw a guy, he was like, white supremacy is a demonic force. And when you think about it, in a sense, it is. Patriarchy, to an extreme, is a demonic force, because what about you has to rule over and demean and even like it's so frustrating, even being on like Facebook and being a woman. Okay, I have had to delete so many motherfucking people over the past since Charlie Kirk shit happened. I've been just deleting motherfuckers left and right. And this is no shot at, at my guys, because I know I have a lot of male followers too. So I love men, okay? No shade. But give us free, okay? Give us free. Let us decide what we want to do with our bodies. Let us decide if we don't want to be in a traditional marriage, or we don't want to do things like we are human. Like, I don't understand why people feel the need to control every little aspect. And y'all know how I feel about that. Like, if you are willing to try to have deep control over a person, it's something about your own life that you feel out of control with. Because let people just fucking be. But yeah, I deleted so many motherfucking. Every time I see a misogynistic to the left ass, and that Romika Meeks thing also had me like deleting motherfuckers left and right. If y'all don't know about that, her child, she was dropping her little boy off at school. Her baby daddy, her child's father, for all the political correct, was in the area, and he decided to pull up with his other baby mama, and the other baby mama, like, after he had been pillow talking like hell, decides she gonna shoot the lady at the little boy's school multiple times. And it was just a big deal about triangulation. Did she deserve it? Etc., etc. And a lot of men, black men of color, okay, have been just showing their asses, okay? Women don't deserve this, and da-da-da-da-da, and bitch this, hoe that. And I'm gonna throw a little bitch out here or there, but in our land, it is almost a term of endearment. You hear me? And you know the difference between, bitch and bitch. Just like we know the difference between g and the hard er. You know the difference. And I just feel like I just been getting rid of their ass. Like, I don't give a fuck, like, about you being lonely. And now you want to act like Mr. off The Color fucking Purple. Like, no, baby, we done came too far to go back. And, like, just give it up, Chuck. Go home, Roger, It's just a bit much. So, like, from the women to the black and brown communities to the spiritual communities, Houston, we have a motherfucking problem. And whatever demographic, whatever category that you fall into, my question is, what is your legacy gonna be when it's all said and done? What you plan on leaving behind for the youth as a blueprint? Because I get that question a lot when I post readers, and I have to tell it how spirit gives it to me. But the question I get is, well, what can we do? Like, it just seems so hopeless. Sometimes you have to set the foundation. Sometimes you are the inspiration, and the change that you can make, you make those changes, but you're building a platform, you're building a strategy, you're giving people a blueprint. You let motherfuckers know it's not okay. Like, Zora Neale Hurston been gone for a long time. But I always go by her quote, if you are silent about your pain, they will kill you and say you enjoyed it. Zora Neale Hurston died, in poverty. They had to buy her a headstone. And I'm sure at the time, as she was initiating through rootwork and conjure and hoodoo and voodoo in the South, she wasn't sure how impactful her words and her books and her stories were going to be, And so take that as a indicator that no matter how small, Mary McLeod, I'm chopping that name up, honey. I ain't gonna get you wrong, baby. Hold up. Mary Bethune-Cookman. She is. I did not know she started her school with like 5 kids. Just 5. Jesus had 12 disciples, okay? We be so focused on likes and follows, and, we imagine having 200 motherfuckers in a room watching everything you do and everything you say on a daily basis. That's a lot. But we look at it like a small amount because, like, social media has, like, got us glamored in a way, that has us feel like what we doing is small shit. So even if you only reach 1 or 2 people, even if you only reach 10 people, you can make a massive impact to society later on. Like, it's a lot of leaders that I'm even just learning about today, that had impact. So don't just go by the status quo. Mary McLeod, what? McLeod, McLeod, Bethune. Okay, Bethune-Cookman University. She started off with 5 little girls in Daytona Beach. Okay, you ain't got to do much. You ain't got to do much, but do something. What is your mark? What are you going to be remembered for? And don't be quiet. You know what I'm saying? Silently while it happens, and then you looking around like, well, damn, didn't happen to you, and you gonna want the world to talk about it. You're not gonna want to be forgotten in your circles in a public eye. So, put out the energy that you want to receive, even if it's in small ways. Everybody got their spot. So if you can only give out food to the homeless, because there is an epidemic. If you can only, and they attacking the homeless people, they going to the homeless spots and handling them like, what the fuck, bruh? So wherever you fall, wherever you feel like you have the most impact, I just want to encourage my listeners to do something. Help a single mom out, help someone homeless, and you don't got to record that shit. You don't got to let people know you're doing it. Most of them don't want to be recorded any fucking way. Help a woman out, pay for groceries, help out with childcare. Childcare is expensive as hell. A lot of families are going into homeschooling. Where are your resources? Like, sponsor a little field trip or something. Like, it's finna be the holidays. Help a single mom out. Help a single dad out. I ain't gonna leave y'all out, okay? But yeah, it's a lot. And I feel like you don't have to do everything, and you can't be everywhere, but don't close your eyes and do like nothing. Like, I am disgusted with some of my feeds where it's just like people are just going on with life like la and like boom into that shit in your face. And no, don't go into psychosis obsessing about it, but do your fucking part. Even if you ain't donating but $5 a month to a homeless shelter, that's you putting some sort of energy in the world saying, you know what, this shit ain't cool, and let me do my part. Let me do something about it. Okay? That's my rant on that, y'all. I could go further, but it's a mess. Now, into the world of entertainment. Fuck Diddy and thinking he was finna get out and go do some goddamn speaking engagements next week. The audacity of you, motherfucker. Like, no, sir. And that, I'm gonna leave that it did. Cause and what? And I've seen his chart. I've looked at his chart, and it is a fucking mess. It's very dark. And what? You said you finna get out. He just knew it. They say he gonna appeal it, but he was terrible. Oh my God, he was doing so much. Nigga, you went so... I'm sorry, y'all. Like, my nigga, he went so fucking far, bro. He dog K-Sags out. Like, he was a fucking monster. It's just, girl. And don't get on my good sis Cassie, because she is, she's a part of the home team as well. You know what I'm saying? And she didn't deserve that shit. Nobody deserves that shit. No human being, black, brown, white, green, blue, deserve what the fuck he was doing. So, no, sit your ass down and think about what the fuck you did. And now you know, that's dead. That's my thoughts on that. And anybody who worked with him moving out, I don't give a damn. I would be side-eyeing the hell out his ass right now. Okay? Or whoever. Now, in terms of Cardi and goddamn JT and Nicki, let me just say, okay? Listen. My mom used to always say, like, two hens cannot be in the same roost. I think that's how the quote go. Basically, like, two women can't be in the same type of situation. And coming from a person who is 8th house heavy, meaning my stellium is in my 8th house, Venus, my sun is there, my Mercury's there, I am all too familiar with, like, an indifference in terms of energy within, like, groups of women, like, getting overly close to me. And it's sometimes, I agree with the trap witch, like, I think she said she 8th house still there. I know I will say she a Leo rising. I don't think she's an 8th house stellium. She mentions it. But I'm a Leo rising as well. And I know people like, what does they have to do with anything? A lot of times you're born with certain astrology placements where it's just not meant for you to be in massive groups of people. Even if you're a guy with a Leo rising. And that's not to say, I'm just drawing comparisons in terms of the energy. When I say two hens, they can't rule in the same roost. Now, Nicki reminds me of, like, the aunties. Like, she... I don't want to get to a sticky spot. Because I fuck with Nicki. Just like I fuck with Cardi. And I like shit that JT put out. Just like I like shit that Kendrick put out. And I like shit that Drake puts out, you know? So I'm unbiased in that way until, you know, you start doing weird shit. And, you know, we got to look at you sideways, diddler. But, you know, Nicki is coming off like I've experienced. First of all, I also have a bunch of Sagittarius placements. And Nicki is a Sagittarius and so is JT. My mother's a Sagittarius, and she sounds so much like my motherfucking mama when she was tweeting. Oh my God, Nicki, not JT, because I ain't really been paying attention to JT tweets. I did listen to that diss today though by JT, and I'll get into that in a minute. But when I was reading Nicki's tweets, I was like, girl, you know, you took the gloves the fuck off, and it reminded me of that scene in Training Day when Denzel Washington was looking around when all the gangs were going against him, and he was just going the fuck off, you know, after he had been beat up and shit, and took the boy through it. It was giving that. And, like, my experience with Sagittarius that are not healed, they act just like her, and then they act so, like, higher than, like, what do you mean, like that, you know, Father God. Like, Charlamagne did the best breakdown of this shit on the Breakfast Club the other day when he was talking about how she was talking all this blessed and godly and calling on Jesus, and like nothing that you're doing is Christ-like, nothing that you're doing is giving Jesus, you know? And that's not to say Cardi don't have her flaws, because, you know, I'm sure she does, and she's, you know, everybody been debating about her womb, and I'm not gonna get all off into it, because I've been telling people, I mean, like, what did you expect? You just wanted Cardi to just delete her kid? Like, the baby is in her now. Like, she has the right to say, I would like to keep my baby. Also, on top of that, she got money and she got resources, and what the fuck is it to you? You know? So that was her personal decision, and she ain't weighing down on society with that. Plus, she's always stated she wants lots of children, and she, again, has resources. She has family, and her children seem to be well adjusted, so, and taken care of. So, you know, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's neither here nor there. And Offset is a Sagittarius also for context. So is Stefan though. So I don't know how he gonna turn out. Ain't my business. But what I'm saying in terms of the female aspect of it and the giving people their flowers and allowing women to grow and evolve and riding in your own fucking lane. And I personally have experienced that on a home front. I've experienced that in my career. I've experienced that within community where you think you cool with a person and then they get crazy, and you see people like Nicki, and it's disappointing because first of all, Nicki got wordplay out the ass, and it's like, why do you feel the need? Like, what is it about Cardi that really just drives you fucking nuts? And she do that to other people too. That's why I say an unhealed sag, oh my God, they can be petty, like real mean girl type energy, and then they quit to play fucking victim when it turned back on him. Like, she talk. I'm telling you, if you ever had personal fucking dealings with the unhealed Sagittarius, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Even a man, you could say something, they can go back and forth, y'all could be arguing, just like how as soon as Cardi said something about her little boy, it was, oh my God. And then, but it was cool when she was doing it. Like, they like that in real fucking life. They want to bully you, but they don't want to be motherfucking bullied. You know what I'm saying? And it sucks. And, in terms of her being on any substances, somebody on Threads had posted, like, they had posted that she be talking about it openly. We just never addressed it. And they posted some lyrics. I ain't getting all off into that, but they was just saying that's the reason why she going through what she going through, because she's on substances and her baby daughter, her husband, is not very helpful, and he's enabling her so that he can use her. Now, I ain't got nothing to say about it. This is just, allegedly, because I ain't got time, girl. I love your music. I wish you the best. And but I know how it be to be with a motherfucker that pretending like they fucking with you and they really feeding off you and the downfall of your career. And I ain't trying to share, but she gonna hold on. I feel like I mentioned this to y'all before, possibly in a TikTok. She's not, like, she gonna have to crash and burn terribly in that situation because she's got something to prove. They like that now. Hold on to the bitter end, my friend. But he the problem. That energy, he's supposed to make her better. He's supposed to, you know what I'm saying? And she too concerned because she's not able to be her normal artistic self. She's not happy, you can tell. And it's just like, damn, bro, go on vacation, get in the booth and just be creative and live your life. Don't be worried about, the stats and the numbers and who gives a fuck. Like, I don't give a damn how many units Cardi sold. I don't pay attention to that type of shit. I just like her music, And, I'm not overly taking up for Cardi in the terms because I'm sure but you know what? I can't say because I don't know many. I'm fresh in the Libra zone. I don't have a lot of Libra family members that I'm close with, and you're just getting fresh in the Libra friendship realm. So I don't know if y'all know something about Libras, you know what I'm saying? Drop it in the comments below. But, both of them practice, both of them hire workers, babalawos, but those of them from the island team, you know what I'm saying? So I just feel like it's two witches fighting. It's two witches fighting, and Cardi just ain't backing down like Nicki is used to, and I do feel like Nicki got a root on her. I do. And I ain't trying to say Cardi did it, but I feel like she got a root. Look how she acting. She acting possessed. She acting like something riding her. Motherfucker get acting like that, I'd be like, something riding your motherfucking ass, because it just ain't right, When she went to talk about the children, I was like, oh, God. Because I just knew, because she was deleting the tweet. So when I was like, go back and look, I'm like, let me go see if this shit real. Oh, God. I was like, Nicki, come on, bro. Like, And what does this have to do in the current climate? Like, what does it fucking matter? For one, both practice and hire practitioners, women in high places that should be using their influence and their artistry to activate in times like these. And also the matriarchal like climate of the main reason why a lot of us don't have elders to and aunties and people in the workplace to look up to, because they are so busy trying to like assert dominance and don't want to give you skills and don't want to give you advice because they so worried and egotistical. And that plays a big part in root work and conjure, because a lot of what we do is built on ancestral and elder knowledge, and a lot of us have lost the recipes and having to dig back in our birth charts and, meditate deeply to get in tune with our like deep ancestors. And it's just like, we wouldn't have to do all that shit if y'all would just get out of your fucking egos, so whatever they have hashed out personally, obviously deal with that shit. But on like a broader scale, like, you're losing the fucking recipes. You're supposed to be teaching people and helping and growing, and it's a lot of personal vendetta energy there, and a lot of ego that she don't even need to be having. But I feel like that spirit ride her ass, and she allowing the devil to use her. That's all I can say. I hope she does better, and I hope she feels better. And girl, it might be time to do a cord cut. Even if she stay with that nigga, it's like, you got to get cord cut, because he got you out here. Oh my God, acting out, girl. Oh, you supposed to be the queen. The queen don't come up off her throne to acknowledge the court and the peasant. Like, I don't know. But we been there, because I done crashed out before too. And it don't, you look back on it and you be like, damn. So, I feel like one day she gonna look back on that shit and she gonna be like, why I do all that? Maybe not, but I just feel like shit. It's like the fuck. But I like their work for different reasons, and I just think that Nicki need to realize she in a lane of her own, and she don't got to be worried about what the fuck Cardi doing, what Cardi selling, and all that personal shit. They need to hash shit out, because for the culture, girl, we got way too much going on for y'all to be doing this shit. Okay, thanks. Yo, and where are all the celebrities that should be fighting and like activating for us? Where the fuck are they? Crickets. Okay. Anyway, what else I said I was gonna talk about? But yeah, that's dead, y'all. I ain't gonna go too deep off into that. But maybe like I'll do a deeper like generational curse in terms of like elders and ancestors, because like I said, that shit plays a big part in our work. Like, I will give, like, y'all, if you listen to my old podcast, you know that I talk a lot about how my family went against me, and how like most of the women in my family are highly spiritually gifted, but they too egotistical, want to control the narrative, you know what I'm saying? Like, and try to hold you back. They've done terrible things to me to keep their space and stay in their ego, you know what I'm saying? So passing the mantle and educating is so very important. And I feel like at some point we lost the recipe. We lost the fucking recipe. We lost the plot. We lost the plot, y'all, and it's disappointing to say the least. We lost the plot. Hell, even y'all girl Taylor Swift, they talking about her. She's so busy, upset, trying to, be all into my mind. They say, I don't listen to Taylor Swift though, so comment if you do. But, they talking about her album and how it's being received, and she's just off her A game. Trying to prove a motherfucking point about her mind. So, well, I ain't got much on that, because like I said, I don't really listen to Taylor, so hey, no shade. They say she do a little something in the team too. Anybody know what Taylor practice? Because I heard some things about her. I didn't fact check, but I heard some things about our girl Taylor. She's off her game though. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting off into them. Not my lane, not my circus, not my monkeys. Okay, thanks. But overall, all that beefing and shit, even in terms of Drake and Kendrick, it's just like we losing the recipes because everybody in their fucking ego. You know, we can't stand together. You know, everybody got their own lane. Everybody do their own thing different. You know, and do I care about Drake being a culture vulture? I mean, Drake is Jamaican and he does have ancestry. You know, he just so happened to have a Caucasian mother. So it's like, you know, it gets kind of muddy waters. You feel me? You know, and that's a age old battle. Light skin, dark skin, white, black. Like it's a mess. And I just feel like, again, we losing the fucking plot when we should be coming together, utilizing our influence to stop us from going back into slavery overall. You know? But yeah, it can get deep, and a lot of times, like I said, ego just gets in the way. I got in the industry, and you know, I had to deal with a lot of like egos, and I still deal with egos today. Like, people just won't fuck with me. They won't like it just because, you know, it's me or etc. It's being a fucking ego, you know. So I feel like the best way to combat things like that is to keep your eyes on your own plate and focus so deeply on yourself that you finally realize that the other shit just simply does not matter. And in the grand scheme of things, it really don't. Like I said, I was quite hesitant to talk about it, but we do discuss culture as well. And at some point when I decide to do a Lilith's interlude, that's what I might make it into, like a Lilith's interlude, to discuss how, in a more detailed sense, how this is affecting us in terms of elders and, you know, matriarchy, and you know what I'm saying, and because there's a disconnect with the aunties and, you know, the niece, and you know what I'm saying, there's a disconnect. So that does deserve to be discussed in detail. But I did just want to touch on it because I haven't been tapping into that energy. I haven't been talking to y'all for this week because I've been diligently putting out guides and horoscopes and readings, trying to stay on top of shit, and just been taking it all in. But I am going to do some Lilith's interludes in terms of that, because it's important. It's important, and we do need to work through those shadows, because who wins in the end? You know what I'm saying? Who wins? They do. Who is they? The oppressor, whether that be a racist, a white supremacist, whether that be a fucking misogynistic man, you know, a coon, if you will. You know what I'm saying? You know, they, them, him downstairs. The fuck? So just, you know, do right and right to follow you. All right, that's how I'm gonna leave that. But yeah, we'll get into it deeper. In Lilith's interludes, of course. I don't know, y'all. I might have to make this do a part 2, because we do need to tap in and see what the ancestors want us to know. We are in Hoodoo Heritage Month. It is closed, but also rootwork and conjure, and it's Saturday, so you know, what better way to start the first Saturday off than to honor and, you know, see what's going on with the ancestors, because we do need to know what we need to do, because again, it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. So before I just tap into this reading, this is going to be a part 2 to this, and what a part 2 is really just going to be the reading. So I'm just gonna wrap this team. I'm gonna keep my team brief, and just say that, you know, keep your eyes on your own plate, and you'll never go motherfucking hungry. Okay, and all skin folk ain't kin folk. So a lot of the organizing and work and things that I plan on doing and have done are kept away. And what else? If you guys need any private workings or readings, click the link in my bio. I do have availability. I appreciate you guys for donating, tipping me, sending me gifts. I appreciate y'all so much. And for liking, follow, sharing, and subscribing. Also, don't forget to tell a friend to tell a friend. You never know who it can help. And yeah, y'all, stay dangerous, because playing meek is getting us nowhere. And if you must feed into the distractions, just make sure it's with purpose. Not just for gossip or tea, but really breaking things down and working through those shadows so that we can be better off in the end. The only point of reference should not be that it was tea. Even down to that Diddy shit, like, that needs to be discussed on a Lilith's interlude, like, in detail. Like, what the fuck? That shadow shit that we need to work on as a people. So yeah, this is an overview. That's why I said I held it in so long. I had said I was going podcast every day, but the energy has been so heavy. It's been so heavy. But yeah, a little rundown. Like I said, let's keep this thing brief, and I appreciate y'all, and join me for part 2. And let me know your thoughts, And again, like I said, this isn't just tea. This is about us healing as feminines, as a generation, as people who want to see change. Overall, it's more than just tea. It's the culture, and it does matter. So yeah, appreciate you, love you. Tune in to part 2 for the reading, and yeah, we'll chat soon. Bye.